Impact Investors Council. As we now gather into these post-lunch sessions, we have three dedicated tracks running in parallel. We have Equity Impact Investing in the Ballroom, Financial Inclusion in Onyx, and Blended Finance for Impact, which is here in Jain. Before we begin with the sessions under the Blended Finance track, I would like to extend a heartfelt gratitude to our track lead, the Blended Finance Company, and our session lead, the British Asian Trust. Your support for Prabhav and curating this session has been invaluable for us. To set the stage for the discussions ahead, we are honored to have an insightful keynote from Prachi Jain Windless, Senior Director India at the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation and Chair of the Impact Investors Council. To briefly introduce Prachi, Prachi leads the foundation grants, investments, and large-scale government partnerships. Before joining the foundation, Prachi worked at Boston Consulting Group and in the telecommunications sector at Qualcomm and Motorola in the US. She holds degrees from the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, the University of Southern California, Los Angeles, and the University of Chicago. Prachi brings a strong Prachi brings a strong passion for the data-driven education and blended finance. We are excited to hear from you, Prachi, today. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Varun. And I share Varun's and I know many of my blended finance, small cohort colleagues, the excitement to having a full room. We were all reminiscing that last Prabhav in 2022, we were also in Jade, but we didn't have that many people. So thank you again for being here for the post-lunch programming. I will start with talking about our two very exciting organizations who are actually curating and leading this session. The first partner is the British Asian Trust. And I always look upon them as the old hand in the game. They've been a pioneer, of course, of many impact bonds in India. We've been a partner in many of them. And they do the hard work. They do the hard work of bringing together and being the convener and the collaborator of so many different types of stakeholders, whether it is global money, Indian money, government, and all of us know how hard convening and collaboration is, and they've always done that hard work. And the third thing which they bring to the table has been the shaping of the narrative around the blended finance. They have been, I would say, the most vocal advocates of blended finance and the benefits of blended finance. So they really bring back that focus. So I'm very delighted that they, today have curated the programming for this session. The second partner and the lead for this track is the blended finance company, who I would say are the new kids on the block. They're a newly formed company. But at the same time, I would also say old wine and new bottle, because in different forms and formats at Dalberg, at Asha Impact, and at the Kaizen Private Equity, they have been at it in a very substantial way, whether it was problem solving on what blended finance should be, what it is achieving, what it can achieve. So what I find the most exciting part about the blended finance company coming together and forming this, dedicated initiative to do this is just the quality of talent which is coming to this table and their recognition that this trend is here and we need to leverage this trend. So, thank you again to the Blended Finance Company and the British Asian Trust for organizing this. The reason I gave such a long introduction to all of this is because how I described the British Asian Trust's work and the blended finance companies, coming into the sector is also some of the common descriptors that we use for the blended finance work as it is happening. The first is that this is old. This is not a new thing which has started happening. Blending capital, blending for impact, and all of this we all have been doing in our collective work for many years. So this is not new. We all have been, in some sense, old hands at this. The second I would say is that it is proven. It is not something which is at a pilot stage, and we don't need more pilots. But this has the fact that we talk about shaping the narrative, the fact that something like TBFC is getting formed to scale it, is the fact that it's a proven deal. It's we've had the impact, and now let's take it to the second stage. And the third I would say is that it's still a very, hot, shiny thing in the room. There's a lot of interest for those of you who attended the mornings, convenings and sessions. I think the one phrase you heard the most during the morning session would have been the blended finance. So there is a growing interest in it. There is a growing global and local interest. But the bottom line is that it's still hard work. All of this is happening. There is interest, there is benefits, there is an obvious nature of let's do it next, but it is hard work, just getting this together and, to see the momentum that we should be seeing in the sector. We are not seeing it today, and that's what the space is about. It's ready for disruption, and that's what today's conversations and all conversations, I believe, in blended finance should be about. So let me just touch upon two aspects of this, that why should we talk about blended finance? For those of you who are not engaging in it, why should you engage in blended finance? And the second would be, why now? Is this a timing thing? I know we are full of room of impact investors always timing the market. So let's start with why. The first reason for why is the challenge on the funding when we compare it to the problems we care about and the amount of funding which is available to solve these problems. Again, quoting numbers from which you must have heard, but they're important and big numbers, right? So the annual SDG investment gap in developing countries is now $4.2 trillion. This used to be $2.4 trillion in 2014. The gap has only grown. In India alone, the annual SDG, the annual number, which is the gap, is around $200 billion. And just to put that $200 billion in perspective, the total social sector spending of India, which when I include the government expenditure also in it, is $300 billion, right? So what are we talking about? All the private philanthropy combined, including CSR donations of companies, is only $15 billion. The official development assistance that comes to India is around $3 billion. So no matter which way you look at it, and all of us are aware of the problems that we are facing, we need to blend capital, we need to narrow this funding gap. The second thing is, in order to narrow that gap, the other big challenge is that we have to grow the pool, right? Just one type of capital will not help us achieve this, and neither will one type of objective help us achieve it. So we have to enable return-seeking capital to participate in these development initiatives by using government and philanthropic capital, and there are many examples of it, and I will share a few, to meet the risk-return profile of commercial investors or just commercial capital, if I were to say. So there is some hope if we can actually grow. And the second, which is the most important for us, is that this money just needs to do more. When we are facing a shortage of capital, our problems are growing, our dollar just needs to be that much more effective, right? We need to bring a sharper focus on the goals, on the achievement of social outcomes, and we need to shift the risk of the financial risk, if I might call it, of non-achievement of desired social outcomes, or I would say even for the need for the innovation that we need in the sector, to pools of capital which can actually afford to do that, right? So there is that need for the dollar to go farther. There is need for more dollars, and of course there's need for diverse types of capital. So why get excited now? What is it about now that, from 2022 to even 2024, as we talk about blended finance, we have maybe 100 plus members in this room today. Maybe I heard it 100 times, through our morning discussions. There are many reasons for us to get excited now. In the last decade itself, over $200 billion of investment capital has been invested through blended finance transactions, with over 2,000 from participation from over 2,000 investors. In these transactions, and I think this is an important metric for all of us to note, every dollar of catalytic investment capital has brought in $4 additional of leverage of commercial capital. So that's the kind of leveraging, that's the kind of quadrupling that we need in the sector. I know we have many India-focused blended finance experts over here, but let me take a stab about why we feel excited, why I feel excited about blended finance. So 3-4 quick things for you to reflect upon as you start thinking about your work as you go back. approximately $14 billion of investment capital has been added to India's development finance in the past 10 years. If I compare it to what impact investing in its pure form has done, that's $30 billion. So it's a newer phenomena from that sense, but growing at the rate of 19-20% almost annually. The diversification of this pool is happening. It's happening every day. There is domestic investment capital participating, and I know some of the panels will both represent it, but also talk about how more domestic capital is coming, particularly from our public and private banks and NBFCs. And several of these instruments, I think, have gone out, been established, and proven their impact. It's really not new. I can share our example as Dell Foundation. We were the participant in the Quality Education Impact Bond, and we had 2.5x of the outcomes that we used to see from our normal granting and programming that we used to see. And there are many other examples. You'll hear many about them today. If you follow the work that IIC does in India, Blended Finance Collaborative, the work that Asha Impact has done in the past, we are full of examples. And I don't think any of us are now looking for a validation whether or not this will work. And there are many global case studies coming out from that. And I think particularly now, the last one I would say, particularly now, there are some developments which are India specific, which are very exciting, right? The social stock exchange, the pioneers in that, and we have so much to do and so much to achieve through the social stock exchange, right? Huge movement. NSDC Skill Impact Bond, it's breaking the mold in every way that one can think about, right? We've done skilling for years, we've done schemes for years, and here a government organization comes and says, let's do it differently, let's look at outcomes differently, let's incentivize different outcomes in a different way. Gift City, I mean, any of you, who's engaging over there, the kind of innovation which can be done through the Gift City bodes very well for the future of blended finance in the country. And this is the kind of innovation, the cross-cutting innovation that we need in order for participation from our retail investors, from governments, and impact investors in the blended finance conversation. So at Dell Foundation, needless to say, we've been huge champions of this work. We've benefited from this work. That's the reason for the championship. We get more leverage in our work, we get more impact in our work, we get more participation in our work as opposed to working in a silo. We've participated in the Quality Education Impact Bond that I spoke about, Skilling Impact Bond, Social Success Notes, and many other guarantee structures. But I think it was all hard work we are not used to doing. So we had to make our life easier, and that was the reason for us to set up and participate in the setup of the Blended Finance Company together with Vikram Gandhi and Asha Impact, with the objective and the mission to set up this urgent need to give the sector the momentum that it needs to bring many more deals to the fore, and be able to build on all of this interest that we are seeing, but not at the cost of time. We cannot be sitting in rooms designing these transactions when our communities out there, our children and youth out there, need the money to be flowing to them in the most effective fashion. So, so I hope and I wish the company all the good luck that in the coming years we see a higher speed of execution and blended finance presence in spaces where we are not seeing it as much today, whether it is education, employment, skilling, wash, and agriculture, amongst the other sectors. The other thing I would say is, especially, I will not take our presence at the Impact Investors Council flagship convening at Prabhav as just a coincidence. The fact that IIC brings together the full spectrum of impact investor across the risk-return expectation profiles is really what the sector needs. We need more collaboration. We need to come back and think about how do we meet no matter where do we come from. So it'll be great to see these organizations collaborate and continue to collectively create blended finance transactions in India, not just with the objective of becoming the lighthouse impact solving facility in India, but maybe the global south. So again, thank you very much for joining us today. I hope the conversations that start today continue well beyond Prabhav, and I've been playing at this word since morning, bring Prabhav to all of our work. Thank you so much.